Hey everyone, Luke here, and today I just want to talk about the paleo diet versus the nutritional balancing diet, okay? Just the pros and cons, and how they contrast, and why we don't include, or how we include certain things as opposed to the paleo diet, okay? It's important to realize, I have nothing against the paleo diet, and I think it's actually a massive upgrade compared to the most diets that people are following, okay? But it has its pros and cons, and there are some things that need adjusting, okay? So let's talk about the pros. Okay, first of all is no wheat. Okay, no wheat is a pretty big one. Okay, wheat is a very inflammatory food that really no one should be consuming today, even the best organic whole grain sprouted wheat. I've actually made a video on this before. And the paleo people, they don't really like grains in general. So the fact that they're eliminating wheat is actually a big benefit to pretty much everyone, okay? So that's a big one. Also is plenty of animal protein, okay? So animal protein, as I'm sure you know, are basically a staple in most paleo diets. I say diets because, there's really not, some paleo diets are different than others. There's not a complete uniformity, okay? So animal protein, okay? That is very prevalent in the paleo diet. Okay, so things like paleo people love grass-fed beef, which is excellent. Elk, bison, chicken. They love pretty much anything that's animals and animal fat. Okay, so that's very good. It's better than a lot of other diets that are out there. Things like the fruitarian diet. Things like any sort of vegetarian diet. This is a lot better. So it has that going for it as well. Okay, so no wheat, animal protein. Another big one is no processed foods. Okay, that's a pretty big one right there, okay? No processed foods, okay? Just eliminating processed foods is going to make a whole heck of a lot of people feel a whole heck of a lot better, okay? And so, getting back to natural organic foods is excellent, okay? So no processed foods, that's a big one. And also no sugars, okay? They do like fruit, but I mean no processed sugars, okay? They don't like soda and candy and, sugary cereals, all that stuff. They don't like that, okay? So that's also big. That kind of goes with the no processed foods, okay? Kind of, those two kind of go together. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot of pros, okay? People with a paleo diet tend to pay more attention to their health than the average person. They're more likely to get grass-fed meats. They're more likely to get organic food, which has more minerals, and the organic meats are better because they don't have hormones and things like that. Okay, all these things are benefits, okay? But let's talk about the cons, okay? The cons. Okay, cooked vegetables, okay? These need to be the staple. Okay, cooked vegetables. Okay, now people on paleo diets, sometimes, usually they do eat cooked vegetables on paleo diets. Like I said, it depends on the paleo diet. Some people like raw, paleo diets because, caveman didn't have fire to cook with, I guess, was the line of thinking for a lot of people. But we like cooked vegetables because you need to cook them in order to obtain all the nutrients, all the minerals, and that's where most of the minerals are, okay? There are minerals in other foods. There's mineral in grains, and there's minerals in animal protein, okay? But these are the most mineral dense. And so these are the staple that the bodies need today, are cooked vegetables. Okay, and they're not nearly as emphasized enough, okay? Cooked vegetables are the staple in what we do, but really in paleo diet, the staple is really animal protein and animal fat. That's what it tends to be, okay? Those are good and everyone needs them, but they're not the staple, okay? And a lot of people overdo it, okay? We like people to eat animal protein, maybe twice a day. And we don't like that big of serving sizes, okay? Because you need to save room for all your cooked vegetables, okay? Other cons are, things like nuts and fruit, okay? So a lot of people on the paleo diet, they eat nuts and they eat fruit, okay? We don't like fruit, period, okay? It's too yin, it's too sugary, too watery, makes the bodies too cold. All the bodies today are already too cold. People that eat fruit end up eliminating toxic potassium that the fruit absorbs from all the phosphate fertilizers. It just has a host of problems. So we don't like any fruit today. It's all been too hybridized, and it's in general, it's not good for the bodies today. And then nuts, paleo people eat a lot of nuts. We don't like nuts. We like them prefer people to eat them in the form of nut butters, okay? The best is actually roasted nut butters, like roasted almond butter, roasted cashew butter, roasted sunflower seed butter. Those are the easiest to digest. And, you know, people will notice this. You know, if you eat nuts and you look at your bowel movement afterwards, you'll see chunks of them because they're so hard to digest. If you do eat nuts, you know, roasted is better. But nut butters are much easier to digest, and roasted nut butters are actually the best. So those two things, you know, tend to be a problem with, you know, the paleo diet, okay? Also the types of meats, okay? Large fish and pork, okay? So those two things are problems, okay? Any large fish that you're eating on a paleo diet is full of mercury. Things like tuna, mackerel, swordfish, all those large fish are full of mercury, and we can see it on the hair test. Okay, so that is a massive problem. And also with pork, okay, pork's also a problem. Even high quality pork, okay. A lot of people, all of the symptoms that they get from brain fog is actually trichnia, okay, that has embedded itself in the human brain, and that's causing brain fog, okay. So we don't like pork. And we also don't like pork because it's just not as good as other meats, okay. You know, if you eat pork and you take a digestive enzyme and you're fairly healthy where you don't really get, you know, your body can kill the trichnia, and you cook it really well so it doesn't have that many to begin with. You know, it's really not that bad, but we don't like people to eat it in general, A, because of the trichnia, and B, it's also not as good as other meats. Lamb is a superior meat today. I prefer grass-fed beef, I prefer elk, I prefer bison, I prefer chicken and turkey. You know, I prefer all these foods compared to pork. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be as compatible with the human system for whatever reason, okay? So yeah, you know, those are the major cons. Another con that I would really like to talk about is actually personalization. Okay, so like I said, you know, the staples with the paleo diet are, in all circumstances, tend to be animal protein and animal fat. But some people, it's important to realize, need more fat than others. So that's where personalization comes from. Nutritional balancing, you know, when we test the hair, you can see if you're what we call a fast oxidizer or a slow oxidizer. A fast oxidizer is going to need more fat, okay? And a slow oxidizer is going to need a little less fat and a little more carbohydrates to help speed up the oxidation rate, okay? And this is what we do based off the hair mineral, the hair tissue mineral test, okay? Where we can see the mineral ratios, okay? With the paleo, you know, they don't know, okay? You know, so there probably are people that do paleo and then they test the hair at the same time, but, you know, we can see from the hair test what works. Okay, and it's important to realize that the cooked vegetables are what people need for all those minerals. We can see that the people are getting more minerals on the hair test. Okay, so it's personalized to an extent. That includes the supplements, you know. That's a very important thing as well, is the supplements, okay? So people, all the bodies today, they need like, they need kelp, they need a digestive enzyme, you know, the kelp supplies even more minerals. Even if you eat the best paleo food, even if you eat the best nutritional balancing food without the supplements, if you eat all bunch of organic cooked vegetables, organic animal protein, all those things, you still won't be getting enough minerals, okay? Food supply is just extremely mineral depleted, no matter what anyone says. You need mineral supplements to help supply even more minerals. Sea salt's also an excellent one. Okay, so that's that's an important one as well. Also personalization. Also, you know, we don't mind beans and grains. So that's an important difference as well. Okay, a lot of paleo people say you shouldn't eat beans and lentils and things like that. You shouldn't eat any grains. Well, I hate to tell you, but grains have been eaten for thousands and thousands of years on planet Earth. Okay, and some grains are very healthful. Things like blue corn. Rice isn't quite as good because of arsenic problems, but quinoa, amaranth, those are all very good, even though, you know, there is some debate, like for instance, quinoa, it's kind of like a seed, actually. Same with like amaranth. But even grains like I mentioned, even the gluten-containing grains, like even rye, once the digestive system can heal, and you get like organic rye, for example, you know, that's not a bad food either. But, you know, a lot of paleo people, you know, they don't want any grains, and they don't want any beans, things like that. You know, beans aren't a staple in our diet, but, you know, they can be beans and lentils could be a good part of the diet, like 2 to 3 times a week, for example. They're not as important as the cooked vegetables and the animal protein, and even whole grains, but, you know, they can form a good part of the diet. So, you know, that's important to realize. I don't think you need grains to heal. You know, if you just ate tons of cooked vegetables and animal protein, and you included starchy vegetables, so you got enough energy from the carbohydrates from like sweet potatoes and onions and things like that. You know, it's basically all you would need to heal. And there's a lot of people on our programs that don't eat any grains, and so you don't need to eat grains and beans. You know, so you can follow a more type of paleo diet with animal protein and just cooked vegetables. But, you know, it's just important that people have more options to us. It's important, you know, I can tell my clients, you know, you can eat lentils. I eat lentils, you know, fairly often. I pressure cook them. Same with like beans and grains and, you know, things like that. And so, you know, that's important to realize that could be part of a healthy diet, although not staples, like I said. So that's it. That's the pros and the cons of the paleo versus nutritional balancing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later.